Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Cecilia, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Myriad Uranium. Please note you can submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I am very pleased to welcome Thomas Lamb, Chief Executive Officer of Myriad Uranium, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol MYRUF and on the CSE under the symbol M. Welcome back, Thomas.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. Again, I'm Thomas Lamb, CEO of Myriad. As you can see from the title slide, our main project is the Copper Mountain Uranium Project in Wyoming. It's called Copper Mountain because of the color of the mountain, I believe. And there is copper there too, but anyway, it's the Copper Mountain Uranium Project. It's located right in the center of Wyoming, as I'll explain here shortly. So I just thought I'd put this up. I think most of the audience understands uranium, what's going on with uranium. For those of you who don't, or just have a superficial knowledge, I'm going to talk about the uranium market, what's going on right now. But I won't go too deep into it because I think a lot of you are probably up to speed. So this is me. I was a corporate lawyer, a securities lawyer early in my career. And for the past 20 years, I've been building and helping to run mining companies, usually starting them from scratch. In several cases, we've built them from scratch and had nice exits and made our investors significant money. So I've done this before, and I hope to do it again with our excellent team. Slide. Oh, there we go. I'm back. Again, yeah, we're hoping to do the same thing here with Myriad Uranium Corp and our Copper Mountain project. It's a legal page. The main thing I want to note is that I'm going to be talking about pounds of uranium and estimates. Generally, these are historical, meaning they date back. In our case, they date back to the 1970s when Union Pacific Railway held our project, and they spent about 78 million US on our project in today's dollars. And so a lot of the numbers I give are historical, but we intend to bring those numbers current under the various regulations, in our case 43101, which is the Canadian regulation. These are the three things I want to focus on in the presentation. The third one is our project and our company. But the first two are really important. I won't say too much about the first two because I do think most of you are probably up to speed, but they are really important to provide the context. And the third one, Copper Mountain itself, our project, I'll just right off the hop tell you that it's a very exciting project and extremely interesting. We're a small market cap company relative to the big guys, but that's because I don't think we're as well known as certainly as we will be. We're an up-and-coming company. Our project saw a huge amount of investment in the 1970s, again by Union Pacific Railway. You might see the name Rocky Mountain Energy. That was their subsidiary that did the work. They drilled 2,000 drill holes in our project, and our project would likely be an operating uranium mine now, if not for the 3 Mile Island incident in 1979. So our project has a large historical resource, which I'll get into. I'll give you the details. And it also has big upside potential, big exploration upside potential. So it's a bit of an orphan project, largely since it's always been owned by multiple groups over the last 40 years plus. Has never had unified ownership until now. I'll explain more about that. We are currently drilling our project. Again, we're down at number 3 here, the Copper Mountain Uranium Project. We're currently drilling it. Drilling started about a week ago. I don't have results, and I wouldn't be able to speak to them even if I did, but results are coming. And my final point of this introduction is that Wyoming is the premier jurisdiction, I would say globally right now, to have a uranium project. And we are in the center of Wyoming, so it's the center of the action. So I'm going to talk now a little bit about what's going on with supply demand in uranium. Why is uranium hot? And then a bit of geopolitics, and we'll get back to Copper Mountain. Now, this slide, in a way, I could linger on the slide. It kind of says it all. This is the United States nuclear power plant uranium demand. Total demand in the U.S. is a little bit higher, but you can basically say, as a general statement, that the U.S. Consumes 40 million pounds of uranium a year. Its nuclear fleet does, but produces almost no uranium. So I think the U.S. produces about 2 million pounds a year of uranium currently, and again, consumes 40 million. So there's a big delta there. The U.S. imports uranium, finished fuel, but uranium from Canada, Australia, Kazakhstan, Niger in West Africa, Namibia, other places. But with geopolitics, especially considering what's going on with Kazakhstan and Russia, et cetera, U.S. politicians, utilities, all the stakeholders have decided to repatriate uranium production to the United States. And there's a bit of, I wouldn't call it a panic, but there's a huge amount of pressure. This is because of Kazakhstan, Russia, Ukraine, and other factors. So it's a very exciting time to be in uranium in the United States. Government, all the stakeholders, investors, private, public equity, it's all pouring into the sector right now. So fasten your seatbelts. I think it's going to be an exciting few years ahead. This slide just illustrates the supply gap. The gray in the image on the left here is the amount of uranium the U.S. imports to fuel its reactors, and the production is the sort of the blue bump at the bottom there. It says about 2.1 million pounds. So the U.S. is going to increase its production dramatically over the next few years, and that's an exciting opportunity. I'll just remind you, Copper Mountain is an exciting project that probably would be an operating uranium mine today, if not for the 3 Mile Island incident in 1979. And so we have a chance here, and this is part of the opportunity to bring our project to where it was meant to be, which is to produce uranium, in our case, for the Edison reactors that were planned for California in the 1980s. And but anyway, I'll get back to Copper Mountain in a minute. This is the global, so back on this slide, this is the U.S. supply gap. The U.S. only produces a little bit of uranium, consumes 40 million pounds plus. This is global. Cantor Fitzgerald, you can look it up on the internet, in August, put out a report on uranium. It's easy to find. The supply gap is massive, and there is no solution in sight, at least in the next decade, 2 decades. You can see the important number on the far right, the cumulative supply deficit, about 1.2 billion pounds of uranium up to 2040. So Cantor Fitzgerald and virtually everybody else projects a fast rising price of uranium. This is a slide from the Cantor Fitzgerald report. The reason why we're in this situation is actually Fukushima, partly. 2010 Fukushima accident, the world turned away from uranium and exploration budgets dropped. That has meant that virtually no new discoveries have been made. There was one in 2014 in Saskatchewan. Otherwise, almost nothing. There's only one development stage project that's of note globally currently, and that's in West Africa in Niger. That's the DASA project, owned by Global Atomic. It's a beautiful, beautiful project, big, high grade. It is in Niger, which is not a very stable country, unfortunately. It's had a coup a year ago. So, but that's it. So where is the supply going to come from? That is a big question. Okay, so that's supply. Now, what about demand? Demand is rising fast. We have artificial intelligence and data centers that have, this is in the news, has been for the past few months. Microsoft and Constellation have just agreed to reopen the 3 Mile Island, at least one reactor there. It's a big deal. A lot more deals will be signed, and these things consume a lot of uranium. So I'm sure some of you are up to speed on this, but this is an exciting development. China's building reactors very fast. And of course, a lot of countries have agreed to address climate change by building reactors, because reactors are zero carbon, or near zero carbon. A little bit of slide about the Constellation deal. Again, the stats are just mind-blowing as to what could happen here with AI and data centers. The amount of electricity that the U.S. will require is going to probably grow at an absolutely breathtaking rate. And a lot of deals will be inked in connection or connected to U.S. sources of uranium. Geopolitics, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan produces 43% of the world's uranium. It sits between China and Russia, and it is being squeezed right now especially by Russia. And Kazatomprom, the state producer, has been, and I will just use the word infiltrated by the Russian security services. So you've seen a couple CEOs, two CEOs, two CFOs, two COOs, one of whom is in prison, and lots of middle management be defenestrated, figuratively and literally, from Kazatomprom. Again, that's 40 to 43% of the world's uranium. A lot of that goes into Russia, gets turned into fuel rods, which then get sent to the U.S. To fuel the U.S. reactors. And all this is going to be changing. U.S. And Russia relations are not the best. Russia is threatening to cut off this fuel supply. It's going to be very exciting next few months here in the uranium sector. Geopolitical risk, I've just spoken to it. West is highly vulnerable. Again, the big producer, Kazakhstan, is having trouble with acid supply. Production's going down, and it sits between China and Russia. China wants to build up a physical supply just across the border on the China side. Lots of exciting things in geopolitics relating to uranium. So the U.S. is reacting by investing in domestic supply and then up and down the fuel cycle too. So this is all the way from the mining the uranium itself to producing reactor fuel and everything in between. And all that is happening. It's fabulous for everybody in the U.S. in the sector. It's great for Myriad. I'm just going to reiterate, we have a project that saw a huge amount of investment in the 1970s and would likely be an operating uranium mine today, if not for the 3 Mile Island incident, which led to a fast drop in uranium prices. Our project is also a brownfield project. It's got several Cold War era uranium mines in it. I'll explain more about that in a moment. We are in Wyoming. This just shows you where we are. To the south, to the east, all the major companies are there. 4 out of 5, the 5 operating uranium mines in the US, this is as of last year, things are evolving quickly, are in Wyoming. We are in, I think, the best jurisdiction in the world for a uranium project. So, Myriad itself and the Copper Mountain Project. This is a summary slide. You can take a look at it, but I'll just mention we have a very tight share structure. There are no cheap shares in the company. We built it quite organically. Insiders hold a big chunk. I was, up until the last time I checked, the second largest shareholder on the NOBO list myself. I've put in a lot of my own capital, all at full prices. So I am very heavily invested in this company myself. Some people, that's important for some people to know. So what do we have? We have a 75% earnable interest in this Copper Mountain uranium project I mentioned. It's a big district scale project, and it has a large historical resource. I'll get into the details of that. And again, it has big exploration upside potential. So the history is that in the 1950s and 60s, there were a few small to medium-sized uranium mines at our project. One is called Arrowhead, produced 500,000 pounds of uranium at 0.15. The Bonanza mine, our data shows, produced 780,000 pounds at 1.3%, which is a very high grade. Union Pacific came along 1970s and spent, we have the Canadian dollar amount up there, 117 million, but that's about 78 million US in today's dollars. They drilled a lot of boreholes. And again, they planned a large-scale conventional uranium mine. One of the lead geologists from that time at Union Pacific, in fact, the general manager of exploration in the late 70s, his name is Jim Davis. He's still around, and he lives in Denver, and he is a very important part of our team. He's on our technical committee, and he's very excited that we are there. It was heartbreaking for everybody who'd worked so hard in the late 70s on this project to see it shut down because of the evaporation of the U.S. Uranium sector starting in around 1980. But we're back, and he's going to help us bring this back. This is an investment thesis slide, what's going on with our company, why it's a good investment. It's a summary slide. I'll let you take a look at our website if you can download the PowerPoint from our website or here from the OTC. One thing I want to mention is that we are currently drilling the project. We'll be drilling it for the next month and a half. We have an ambitious drill program going on. This is a bit of the history of the project. I've already spoken to it. There was some past production. Some companies have done some work on our project in the interim period since 1983. Anaconda, that's ARCO. They did a bit of work in 1996-97 when uranium price spiked a bit. And Neutron Energy, which is now Encore, they were also at our project. But they only held 40% of the key areas. Strathmore, this is a predecessor to the current Strathmore Plus, held a large chunk of our project area. Both companies, this is about 15, 16 years ago, were trying to get the other half, the other part of the project area. They couldn't, and neither of them consolidated ownership of our project. We do have a lot of the Neutron Energy. In fact, we have a lot of other historical documents too. We have a lot of Neutron Energy / Encore documents relating to our project, and they're very exciting and encouraging. So this is from a Neutron Energy memo, basically saying that our project has really big potential upside. It's not something I bandy about too much because it's very enthusiastic, but this is from an internal neutron energy memo. And another comment from a Neutron Energy, again, Encore report regarding our project. So this is what Union Pacific's mine plan looked like at the time, 1979 roughly. It was a 6-pit mine plan. They had a mine for our project. The main pit of the 6 was called the Canning Pit. We are drilling that Canning Pit right now. That's happening as we speak. And we'll be getting results over the coming weeks and months. We do have nice grades at Canning, up to 6,720 ppm. This is what we're aware of. Let's see what our drilling yields. And I'm coming to our goal here. The ultimate goal is to bring current the historic resource estimates for our project area. Union Pacific estimated the potential of the entire project area to be over 65 million pounds. Now, for their mine plan that you see on the right, they estimated a resource of 15 to 30 million pounds, but then it was meant to continue from there once they get started mining. So there are real, serious, large historical resource estimates for our project. This is based on 2,000 boreholes. So we're going to try to bring these resources current under the regulations and then even go beyond them. We've started that process. This is a bit of this is what our map looks like. Actually, this is our public-facing map. We're growing our land position all the time. We have a big trove of historical data. There's so much to say about this project that it's hard to cram it all into 25 minutes, but we have a lot of historic data that's helping us. It's guiding our current exploration and giving us lots of ideas about how to advance the project. We're hoping to go beyond what Union Pacific did. Union Pacific was focused on these dotted areas near the top in the wagon bed formation. We're going to drill deeper and hopefully get some of the high grade that lies deeper, we believe. That could add pounds and grade to our project. Now, I mentioned we're drilling the Canning area. Please take a look at our PowerPoint for more details. I just want to jump ahead and tell you about our team. We have an extraordinary team here. We're a smaller company at the moment, but we're built to be a much bigger company. We have a stellar team. So there's myself. Our geo is George Vandervalt. He's managed big uranium projects. Nelson Lam, our CFO, formerly of Price Waterhouse. We're not related, but do have the same last name. Marvin Singer, just retired 40 years at Norton Rose, one of the world's leading law firms. He was a mining partner there. Ian Archibald, most recently of Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, led a technology fund there, a global technology fund, and he's very excited to be part of our team, and we're delighted to have him. Tom Lee, capital markets expert. Fred Bonner. Simon Clark has recently joined us. He was CEO of American Lithium up until recently, helped grow that company up over $1 billion. Ron Hallis. Jim Davis. Jim Davis, again, he was general manager of exploration for Union Pacific. And he knows all about our project. He discovered the original Arrowhead mine that was a significant producer in our project area. And he's got many exciting ideas for our project. Doug Christofferson is on our technical committee. He actually has joined us because he did a lot of due diligence for some of our big investors and recommended that they invest. We have funds, Swiss Uranium Fund, Stephen Dattel's, some big funds out of Toronto and New York, et cetera, have come in and are backing us. And that is because even though we're a small company, we have exciting potential and we have been due diligenced by serious people. So that's a quick overview of the company. I think we're a very interesting investment. I'm going to switch over to the questions now. And thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to go to the slide here, and you're going to see I have a phone number and email. You can email me and send me messages with questions as much as you like. So on to questions, capital needs, plans. We're completing a fundraise right now. If you follow our news releases, we're going to be fully funded for the next little while, but we will be raising money for next spring, summer, and fall exploration program. The budget is being worked out right now, but it's going to be there'll be a big raise coming at some point over the next 3 to 6 months to fund next year's exploration. We currently have $3 million in the bank. We should have at least another $1.5 million soon in the bank. So we're well funded for our size. The U.S. government is very, very supportive. The Inflation Reduction Act, which is a very, very smart act, it's called the Inflation Reduction Act, but it's got lots to do with uranium in there. U.S. government, state level, at Wyoming level is also there's a lot of government support. What are they doing to accelerate the production ramp up? The tax credits, funding, and coordination with utilities. There's a lot going on. U.S. government and Wyoming government, both very active. I have the next question. Will Myriad complete the requirements for the 50% buy-in with Rush by the end of this year? It's going to be close. It's possible we will. Will we get to our 50%? So we are earning up to 75% of this project with a path to 100. The path to 100 is we just have to pay fair market value to get the last 25%. To get the first 75% or the initial 75%, we have to spend $5.5 million. To get to, and I misread the question, but to get to 50%, we have to spend $1.5 million. And we've already done that, or we will. Yes, the answer is yes. We will be at 50% by the end of the year. And the real question is, are we going to get to 75% by the end of the year? We're going to start getting close to that. So we're earning into our 75% very quickly. So what about some other questions here? What are our plans for next spring, summer, and fall? Well, that's a good question. We're just developing those plans. It's going to involve a fair amount of drilling of the known deposits, and then the known prospects also. Union Pacific discovered 7 uranium deposits at Copper Mountain, and they also discovered a lot of prospects, which they drilled a bit, they analyzed, but then they were going to follow up. They never got a chance because the project got shut down in around 1982 due to falling uranium prices. The U.S. sector just melted away. So we are going to go and drill the known deposits, but also the targets, the speculated prospects that could lead to big upside at the project. So that's what's going to happen next spring, summer, and fall. What other questions do we have here? What are the risks? That's a good question. The risks are the risks that you have with any company engaged in exploration and confirmation drilling. Mining and junior mining is inherently risky. Mother Nature is full of surprises. So the risks are that things don't come in as we hoped. But the flip side is there too. Things can also be quite a bit better than anticipated. And that's part of the excitement here and the potential to enable us to potentially go far beyond what Union Pacific discovered and what they estimated. And our hope is to do that. So that those are the main questions that I have here. If anybody else would like to ask any, please put them up. and I'd be happy to answer them. And otherwise, I want to thank everybody very much, and I appreciate your viewing this presentation. Feel free to contact me. Send me a WhatsApp message on my number there that you see on the contact card, or an email. I'm always happy to answer questions. Thank you, everybody.